So, welcome back again students to another video lesson. So, we are now on our second quarter lessons in grade 9 mathematics. So, for the first 2 weeks of our lesson, we will be talking about variations. So, meron po tayong 4 na uri ng variations which will be discussed later on. So, for the first week, i-discuss natin dalawa. And then, on the second week, yung dalawa din na natitira. So, let's start. So, our lesson objectives. First, we will be illustrating real-life situations involving direct variations. So, for us to be able to understand direct variations is magbibigay po ako ng mga real-life situations. And then, next objective, we will be translating direct variation statements as a relationship between two quantities given by table of values, a mathematical equation, a graph, and vice versa. And then, we will be solving word problems involving direct variations. So, yung first two types ng variation, so gagamit po tayo dyan ng table of values tsaka ng graph. Pero yung dalawang nahuhuli, hindi po applicable yung table of values tsaka graph. So kung bakit, abangan nyo na lang po. So let us define direct variation. A direct variation is a relation which states that the ratio of the two variables, wherein the dependent variable is y and divided by the independent variable x, yields a constant k value. So, ibig sabihin lang po ng direct variation na ito, i-divide po natin yung dependent variable na y dun sa independent variable na x, wherein kailangan makakuha po tayo ng constant value na k. So, yung k po natin dito is yung constant of variation. So, malalaman natin na direct variation siya kapag constant o pare-pareho yung value na makukuha natin. So, the statements, y varies directly as x, y is directly proportional to x, y is proportional to x, may be translated mathematically as y is equal to kx or k is equal to y over x, where k is the constant of variation. So, yung pinaka-formula po natin dyan sa direct variation is y is equal to kx. So, meron tayong constant value na k na minumultiply dun sa x. And then, kung kukunin naman natin yung constant of variation natin, which is k, just simply divide y by x. Make sure constant yung makukuha nating sagot. Otherwise, hindi po siya direct variation. For quantities x and y, an increase in x causes an increase in y as well. So, kapag yung x natin is nag-increase, tumaas, same with yung y, tataas din siya. And then, on the other hand, a decrease in x causes a decrease in y. So, tatandaan lang po natin dyan, yung value ng y is nagde-defend lang siya sa value ng x. Kaya nga, dependent variable yung y, independent variable yung x. Direct variation statements can be translated as a relationship between two quantities given by, so yung sabi ko nga kanina, pwede natin i-translate yung direct variation statements into table of values, mathematical equation, graph, and vice versa. So, yung vice versa, kung pwede natin i-translate yung direct variation table of values sa mathematical equation, pwede rin natin i-translate yung mathematical equation into table of values. Using table of values muna tayo. The table below shows the distance traveled by a car in 5 hours. So, as you can see, yung table natin dyan, meron tayong dalawang variable, yung time tsaka distance. So, yung time natin dyan is the independent variable. And then, yung distance being the dependent variable. So, nakadepend po kasi dun sa time yung distance na matatravel nung car. So, on the first hour, as you can see, 60 kilometers yung na-travel niya. And then, on the 5th hour, naging 300. So, this is an example of direct variation. Kasi, so you can see, ayan o, constant yung 60. 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60. Hanggang dun sa 5th hour, naging 300. Or just simply multiply 60 by 5. So, using mathematical equations, if the distance traveled by a car varies directly as the time t, the relationship can be translated using a mathematical statement as d is equal to kt, where k is the constant of variation. So, yung d dyan, yung distance, and then yung t, yung time. Based from the given table, so yung kaninang table, use 3 and 180. So, we can use 5 different points naman doon. So, to verify if the given table of values is a direct variation, substitute the values of d and t in d is equal to kt and solve for k. So, yan po yung pinaka-formula niya. So, yung d is equal to kt, equivalent po yan dun sa y is equal to kx. Tatandaan, yung y po dyan is the dependent variable, and then x is the independent variable. And then yung k, constant po dyan, constant of variation. So, yung d natin dito is yung 180, yung na-travel in kilometers. And then yung t, yung time, 3 hours. So, multiplying 3 by k, magiging 3k is equal to 180. And then, yung 180, i-divide natin sa 3. So, para mawala yung numerical coefficient ng k. So, k is equal to 180 over 3, and that is 60. Ibig sabihin, yung constant of variation natin dito is k is equal to 60. So, yung 60 nga. Plug in k, or the constant of variation, to d is equal to kt to form the mathematical equation. So, after nating makuha yung constant of variation, which is 60, i-substitute lang natin yung 60, yung k is equal to 60, dun sa d is equal to kt para makuha natin yung mathematical equation. So, kapag sinubstitute natin dun, yung k naging 60, so yung mathematical equation natin is d is equal to 60t. So, yun yung parang formula natin dito. As you can see, ayan. So, using a graph naman, the graph of a direct variation is similar to the graph of a linear equation. So, kung paano ginagraph yung linear equation, ganun din po ang pag-graph ng direct variation. So, usually, the equation of variation is expressed just like the slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b of a linear equation. Use the table of values to easily graph the equation of a variation. So, kapag meron tayong table of values at na-verify naman natin na direct variation yon, it would be easy for us to graph the equation of variation. Yan, like for example, ayun yung ating table of values kanina, yung time natin, yung x, distance, yung y. So, dito sa graph natin, makikita natin sa vertical axis natin is yung distance y. Ayan, yung 0, 60, 120, 180 up to 360. And then sa horizontal axis naman, yung time x, yung time 0, 1, 2 up to 6. So, kung ipa-plot natin yung 160, ayan siya. And then yung 2 and 120, ayan. Makikita nyo siya. Ayan, sunod-sunod. And then, kung i-connect natin yung mga points na yan, makakabuo tayo ng straight line. So again, yung direct variation, pag ginagraph siya, para po siyang linear equation. Straight line po. Okay. So, malalaman natin na direct variation siya kapag yung graph straight. Okay. Hindi na natin kailangan pang kunin yung equation niya o kaya yung constant of variation, kasi mismong sa illustration niya malalaman natin na direct variation siya. It's because straight line yung graph. So that the equation of variation is d is equal to 60t. And then let's have the activity number 1. Write an equation for each direct variation statements. So para mas ma-apply natin yung direct variations into real life situations, so let's have this activity. So let's have the first two examples. The total commission C of salesman varies directly on the number of appliances sold. So yung first statement natin, so yung total commission na natatanggap ng salesman nakadepende dun sa bilang ng appliances na naibebenta niya. So yung equation niya will be C is equal to KA. Where C is the commission and then yung A yung number of appliances. Okay, and then yung K naman dito, so yun yung constant of variation natin na hindi nawawala po sa isang equation of variation. Next, the length L of Jan's shadow at a particular time varies directly to its height H. So yung haba ng shadow ni Jan, yung anino, is nakadepende dun sa kanyang height. Okay. So, sulat lang natin siya as L is equal to KH. Yan po yung mathematical equation niya. For the next examples, the area of a circular garden is directly proportional to the square of its radius R. So, yung area stands for A, yung circular garden pabilog. Yung nakadepende po yung area ng garden na yon dun sa radius, the square of its radius. So, sulat lang natin siya. A is equal to yung constant of variation natin, which is K, and then square of its radius. So, meron po dyang word na square. It means, gagamit po tayo ng exponent na 2, and that is R square. So, yan po yung ating mathematical equation. Next, the number of pancakes P is proportional with the amount of flour used. So, yung bilang ng mga pancakes na nagagawa, na ibe-bake, is depende dun sa dami ng harina na ginamit. So, to write the equation, that is P is equal to KF. So, madali lang naman po ang pag-translate ng mga statement into equation. Kailangan lang aware tayo dun sa mga keywords, dun sa mga terms. So, for our last example, the amount of chlorine in a pool varies directly with the volume of water. So, yung amount of chlorine na nilalagay sa swimming pool, so, depende po dun sa volume of water. So, kung gaano kadami yung water sa isang pool, gaano kalaki yung pool, diba? So, nakadepende po yung chlorine na nilalagay doon. So, sulat natin siya as C, small c, equals yung constant of variation natin, K, and then V, capital V. So, yan po yung ating sagot. C is equal to KV. For the next activity naman, determine if the following tables illustrate a direct variation between variables. If they do, find the constant of variation and the equation of variation. Okay. So, yung una nating example, paano natin malalaman na direct variation siya? So, di ba yung formula natin for direct variation is y is equal to kx. And then, pwede rin siyang isulat as k is equal to yx. Y over x kung kukunin yung constant of variation. So, kung i-check natin, so sa una muna, i-divide lang natin yung mga y values sa mga x values. Make sure makukuha natin yung constant value. yung constant of variation. So, dito tayo sa 1, 5. So, yung 5 divided by 1, that is 5. 15 divided by 3, that is 5. 25 divided by 5, that is also 5. 35 divided by 7, 5. And then 45 divided by 9, that is 5. So, lahat po ng mga points, yung mga numbers na nakapaloob sa table of values, kailangan po nating i-perform yung operation. It doesn't mean po yung naunang tatlo, halimbawa dito sa X, yung 1, 3, 5, ay nakapagbigay ng 5 na sagot, na constant of variation. Pero, kailangan pa rin nating i-check dito sa 7, tsaka 9. Po. Pero upon checking naman, yung constant of variation natin is 5. So, yung K is equal to 5 now. Now, since constant yung value natin na 5, yung ating equation of variation, kanina na y is equal to kx, isusulat lang natin siya as y is equal to 5x. So, why 5x? It's because the value of k is 5. So, ito na po yung ating equation of variation. And then, kapag sinubstitute natin yung lahat ng values ng x dito sa table of values, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, sa y is equal to 5x, ma-obtain po yung mga values na 5, 15, 25, 35, 45. So, our constant of variation is 5. So, for the next example, so, ayan. So, y is equal to kx or k is equal to y over x. So, divide lang natin yung mga y values sa x values. So, negative 18 divided by 3, that is negative 6. Negative 24 by 4, negative 6. Negative 30 by 5, that is negative 6. Negative 36 divided by 6, that is negative 6 also. And then finally, negative 49 divided by 7, that is negative 7. As you can see, yung unang 4x values natin, tsaka y values, nung dinivide natin, nakakuha tayo ng negative 6. Pero, dun sa pinakahuli, nakakuha po tayo ng value na negative 7. So, kung titignan natin yung mga nakuha nating mga quotients, hindi po constant. So, sinasabi ko nga kanina, it doesn't mean na yung mga naunang apat ay constant, pare-pareho. I-check pa rin natin yung pinakahuli. So, ayan, nakita po natin na negative 7. This means, this is not a direct variation. So, wala po kasing constant value. Dalawa po kasing mga nakita nating values, negative 6 and negative 7. For the last activity, we will now solve the following direct variation word problems completely. So, ayan na po yung ating last objective is magsosolve tayo ng real-life word problems on direct variation. So, yung unang problem natin, ayan, if y varies directly as x and y is equal to 18 when x is equal to 3, find y when x is equal to 14. So, kung iintindihin natin yung given, y varies directly as x. So, that is y is equal to kx. Then, y is equal to 18 when x is equal to 3. So, para mas makuha natin yung constant of variation, kailangan natin i-substitute yung y is equal to 18 tsaka x is equal to 3 sa direct variation formula, which is y is equal to kx. So, the value of y is 18, and then k times the value of x, that is 3. So, 3k is equal to 18. And then, divide both sides by 3. So, the value of k is 6. Ito na po yung ating constant of variation. Now, to answer the question, find y when x is equal to 14. So, using y is equal to kx. So, isa-substitute lang po natin nakuha nating k, tsaka yung x is equal to 14 para makuha yung y. So, y is equal to, the value of k is 6 times the value of x, that is 14. So, 6 times 14, that is 84. Therefore, the value of y is 84. So, ito po yung ating final answer. For number 2, if P varies directly as Q and P is equal to negative 49 when Q is equal to 14, find Q when P is equal to 105. So, yung unknown po natin dito is yung value ng Q. And then, para i-set up yung equation natin, P is equal to KQ. Ayan. And then, para makuha yung constant of variation, so, una muna kasing kinukuha dito is yung constant of variation para makuha natin yung unknown, kung ano man yung hinihingi ng problem. So, kung wala tayong constant of variation, yung K, hindi po natin makukuha yung Q o kaya yung P. So, let's substitute negative 49 for P and then Q is equal to 14. So, negative 49 equals K times the value of Q, which is 14. And then, 14K is equal to negative 49. And then, we divide both sides by 14. So, K is equal to negative 49 over 14. Is this the final answer? No. Pwede natin i-simplify negative 49 and 14. I-divide natin both sides by 7. So, ayan. So, the value of K is negative 7 over 2. Next, to determine the value of Q, so sulat lang natin P is equal to KQ, and then we substitute the value of K, which is negative 7 over 2. And then times Q. Ayan. So, yung given natin dito is 105. So, dito yan equals negative 7 over 2 Q. Okay. So, para makuha yung value ng Q, we divide the whole equation by negative 7 over 2. So, i-write lang natin dito, Q is equal to 105. So, i-divide natin siya sa negative 7 over 2. And then, since division of fraction, so, kukunin natin yung reciprocal ng negative 7 over 2. And then, magpuproceed tayo sa multiplication. So, magiging 105 over 1 times negative 2 over 7. Q is equal to, so, yung 105 tsaka 7, pwede natin cross-multiply kasi may GCF sila na 7. So, 105 magiging 15. Yung 7 magiging 1 na lang. And then, 1 and negative 2, yan na yon. So, mumultiply lang natin yung mga natira. 15 times negative 2, that is negative 30. Over 1 times 1, that is over 1. So, simplify lang natin. So, Q is equal to negative 30. So, let's proceed to problem number 3. If C varies directly as the square root of D, and C is equal to 120 when D is equal to 225. Find C when D is equal to 25 over 144. So, una natin kukunin dito, of course, is yung equation of variation. So, to write the equation, so that will be C is equal to the constant of variation, K, and then based from the given problem, meron po tayo dito, the square root of D. So, isusulat po natin yun as square root of D. And then, Isa-substitute lang natin yung mga given values of C and D in order for us to identify the value of K. So, C is 120 equals K, and then square root of the value of D is 225. Now, kailangan nating i-extract yung square root ng 225. 225 is a perfect square. So, perfect square, ito yung nire-raise natin yung isang number sa 2. So, yung square root ng 225 is 15. So, pwede nating isulat as 120 is equal to K times the square root of 225, that is 15. And then, it will become 15K equals 120. Now, we divide both sides by 15. So, the value of K is 120 divided by 15, and that is 8. So, the value of K is 8. Next, para kunin natin yung C, sulat ulit natin yung C is equal to K square root of D. And then, isubstitute natin yung nakuha nating value ng K tsaka yung value ng D. So, C is equal to, the value of K is 8. And then, the square root of 25 over 144. And then, C is equal to 8 times the square root of 25 is 5 over the square root of 144 is 12. Ayan. And then, write lang natin. Pwede nating i-cancel out yung 8 tsaka 12 kasi meron silang GCF which is 4. So, pag dinivide natin yung 8 sa 4, magiging 2. And then yung 12, magiging 3. And then, i-multiply natin yung mga natira. So, 2 times 5, that is 10 over 3. So, yung 10 over 3 improper siya, pwede siyang express as mixed numbers, and that is 3 and 1/3. So, the value of C is 10 over 3 or 3 and 1/3. For the next problem, Kevin's weekly salary varies directly with this number of working hours. If he is being paid 1,050 pesos for 14 hours, find his salary for working 40 hours. So, based dito sa problem, yung weekly salary ni Kevin is nakadepende sa bilang ng oras ng kanyang pagtatrabaho. And then, ang sabi din, pinabayaran siya ng 1,050 pesos for 14 working hours. So, ang hinahanap natin dito, magkano ang kanyang sahod kung magtatrabaho siya ng 40 hours. So, yung salary niya, so, denote natin siya using variable S. And then, we write the constant of variation, which is K. And then, yung working hours niya, so, H na lang. Ayan. And then, kunin natin yung value ng K. So, yung salary ni Kevin for 14 hours is 1,050. So, sulat lang natin as 1,050 is equal to K times 14. Now, pwede natin siyang isulat as 14K is equal to 1,050. And then, we divide both sides by 14. So, 14K over 14, that is K, equals 1,050 divided by 14, that is 75. So, the value of K or the constant of variation is 75. Next, to get the salary of Kevin for working 40 hours, so sulat lang natin ulit yung S is equal to KH, and then i-substitute natin yung value na K, which is 75 times yung 40 hours, so 40, and then i-multiply lang natin yon. So the product of 75 and 40 is 3,000. Ibig sabihin, The salary of Kevin for working 40 hours is 3,000 pesos. Ayan. So, 3,000 pesos ang kikitain ni Kevin kung magtatrabaho siya ng 14 hours. So, after natin i-discuss yung direct variation, yung next na type naman ng variation na i-discuss natin sa susunod na video lesson is inverse variation. So, I hope naging clear yung discussion natin sa direct variation wherein pinakita ko naman sa inyo kung paano i-represent yung direct variation using graph, using table of values, using mathematical equations, and then as well as yung pag-translate natin ng mathematical statements into direct variation. So, yun lang. Maraming salamat.